Imagine being left alone in a stranger's house. Late at night. The streets outside are empty, the air is cold, and the silence feels heavier than usual. That's how it started for Lisa. A teenage girl, babysitting 2 children on a quiet Friday night. The parents thanked her quickly, grabbed their coats, and disappeared into the dark. And just like that, she was alone. The house itself felt old, though it was in the suburbs. Wooden beams creaked faintly overhead. The walls seemed to breathe when the wind hit them. Lisa tried to ignore it. She told herself it was just an ordinary night. She sat in the living room while the kids slept upstairs. A single lamp glowed faintly beside her, throwing long shadows across the walls. Every corner of the room looked darker than it should have. Her eyes wandered toward the staircase. The upstairs hallway stretched into a black void. The bedroom doors stood half open, like they were waiting for someone to walk through. Lisa forced herself to look away. She told herself she was imagining things. But her gut whispered something else. Then it happened. The phone rang. A shrill, sharp sound that ripped through the silence. She flinched so hard she almost dropped the lamp. Just a call, she muttered to herself. But her own voice didn't sound convincing. Upstairs, the children shifted in their sleep. Completely unaware of what their babysitter was about to go through. Lisa let out a shaky breath and settled back onto the couch. Her hands were still trembling. But just as her heart began to calm, she heard it. Creak. A slow, heavy step from upstairs. Followed by another. Her stomach dropped. Someone was up there. Lisa gripped the lamp tighter, holding it like a weapon. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear the blood rushing in her ears. She forced her eyes up to the staircase. And froze. At the top stood a shadow. Tall. Motionless. Watching her. Her breath caught in her throat. The lamp flickered faintly, throwing jagged shapes across the walls. The shadow leaned forward slightly. Closer. Lisa whispered, "Hello." Her voice cracked halfway through. The figure didn't answer. Didn't move. But the weight of its stare pressed into her chest. Then the TV buzzed. Static for a second, then black. The house sank into silence so complete, it felt alive. Lisa stood frozen, every instinct screaming at her to run. But her feet wouldn't move. The phone rang again. Lisa jumped and snatched it up, desperate for another human voice. "Hello?" she whispered. But there was no greeting. Only heavy, deliberate breathing on the other end. Slow. Calm. Like whoever it was enjoying this. Lisa's hand shook as she slammed the receiver down. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. The silence pressed in again. She could feel the figure at the top of the stairs, watching, waiting. Her legs moved on their own. She stepped slowly toward the staircase. With each creak of the floor beneath her, she felt smaller. Weaker. The shadow leaned forward again. Closer. The air turned cold. So cold it stung her skin. Lisa could almost hear it breathing with her. In, out, in, out. She clutched the lamp tighter. Her knuckles burned white. Outside, branches scraped violently against the window. Like nails dragging down the glass. She flinched at the sound. And when she looked back, the shadow was gone. Or maybe, it was already closer. Upstairs, one of the children murmured in their sleep. Restless. Uneasy. Lisa's heart jumped. Were they sensing it too? The floorboards above groaned again. This time, heavier. She whispered to herself, "It's not real, it's not real." But even she didn't believe her own words. Her lamp shook violently in her grip. The light flickered. Then she saw it. Halfway down the staircase now. The phone shrieked again. The sound made her flinch so hard the lamp nearly slipped from her hands. In the distance, sirens. Hope surged in her chest. Moments later, police burst into the house. Flashlights slicing through the dark. Boots pounding the floor. Lisa cried out, "He's upstairs. Please." They searched every room. Every corner. Every shadow. But there was nothing. No intruder. No forced entry. Lisa's words tumbled out, desperate, frantic. But the officers only exchanged doubtful looks. To them, she was just a scared teenager with an overactive imagination. But Lisa knew better. When the police left, the house fell back into silence. But it wasn't a comforting silence. It was heavier. Darker. Like the house itself was waiting. In the corner of the living room, shadows still lingered. Too dark. Too deep. Lisa's chest tightened. She felt watched. The upstairs hallway seemed to stretch further than before. Endless. A picture frame tilted slowly on the wall. The scraping sound cut through the quiet like a scream. One of the children murmured again in their sleep. But this time, it sounded like a whisper. Lisa froze. The sound wasn't coming from them. The whispers were seeping from the walls. Her lamp flickered again. The shadow shifted. Closer. Branches slammed violently against the windows, rattling the glass in their frames. Lisa's eyes darted wildly from shadow to shadow. There was nowhere left to run. The staircase groaned. Bending. As if the wood itself was alive. The children stirred again upstairs. Lisa's panic spiked. Then the phone shrieked once more. She picked it up with trembling hands. Nothing. Only silence. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest. And then she saw it. At the bottom of the stairs. The shadow. She dropped to her knees and crawled behind the couch. Her breath shallow. Her heart pounding like thunder in her ears. The house shuddered violently. Wind rattled the windows. Shadows swirled across the walls. Lisa shut her eyes tight. Praying. Begging. And then, silence. When she opened them, the figure was gone. The storm outside slowed. But the silence inside felt heavier than ever. Lisa survived that night. But she was never the same. Every creak of a floorboard. Every sudden phone ring. Every flicker of a lamp. Sent chills racing through her veins. Because once you see something like that, you never unsee it. Once you hear breathing in the dark, you never forget it. And once you know that sometimes the shadows move on their own, you never sleep the same again. If you want to hear more terrifying true stories like this, subscribe to the channel. But be careful. Because some stories don't stay on the screen. Some of them might just follow you home.